courtroom sentencing today for the son of two Smith County elected officials. Derek Phillips, the son of Commissioner Terry Phillips, and County Clerk Karen Phillips, was sentenced to 30 days in jail plus 18 months probation. This comes after a jury convicted him yesterday of resisting arrest and interfering with a public duty. These charges stem from a traffic stop involving a friend of Phillips last March at the home of Terry and Karen Phillips.
There's a whole stack here of his inability to follow the rules when he was employed as a peace officer. He couldn't follow the rules then.
Phillips must also pay fines.
The rules now. That's why we're here.
Phillips must also pay fines totaling $6,000. His mother, Karen Phillips, is also accused of interfering with her son's arrest and will go on trial later this month.